Hello, welcome back to Silver Bull Channel. We're going to have a short talk about Libya here. Libya is a nation of over 6 million people. That's its flag in the shape of the country. It has a large lot of oil reserves, and it was last majorly fought over in the Second World War when the Germans and British Commonwealth chased each other backwards and forwards across its map. The other interesting thing is Libya imports 75% of its food, and I think that's a crucial thing for what we've seen happen. In the 80s, Libya actually had one of the highest living standards in the world, higher than places like New Zealand and other places in the Western world, Singapore, and that due to its high oil revenues, yet relatively low population. 6 million is low by world's terms, but with that vast amount of food that they've had to import, any inflation on that food's really going to hit the bottom line of people. And for people who have been living in relative wealth to suddenly find themselves struggling to make ends meet, it does create a revolution in the making, as it were. And that's happened. You know, this Arab uprising they're going about, if you look at it at its economic roots, it's all about food. The US has caused massive inflation. The US is one of the world's largest exporters of food, and if you look at the prices of some of these commodities, they've just rocketed up. I mean, doubled in price, some of them. Rice, wheat, corn. Have a look at how a lot of them have increased in costs, and that cost ends up being passed on to the consumer, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you how expensive your food shopping bill is becoming. And in a country like Libya, where they have to import so much of their food, that's going to be felt very quickly. Although there are some oases, and there's a large aquifer that Muhammad Gaddafi tried to tap at the cost of many billions of dollars, they still could not achieve food independence. So the interesting thing is that aqueduct at current levels of use is believed to last for about 1,000 years. So, you know, there is some potential there for them to produce their own food. North Africa wasn't always a desert. Certainly is now. The Sahara Desert covers all of North Africa, but at one stage that was as lush and tropical as the places like the Congo. What do I think about Muhammad Gaddafi, or Colonel Gaddafi, or whatever you want to call him? I don't have too many thoughts on him. The guy sponsored a lot of fringe groups. I know a lot of groups from New Zealand and Australia and other places who were, shall we say, on the left of the political spectrum, could get sponsorship to go over there, and lots of other things like that. So I do know, reading the history, that the Americans put the NATO on various assassination attempts on him, until they themselves decided to bomb Libya. But any nation that sits on a large amount of oil reserves seems to, they have the disadvantage of having numerous other jealous neighbours who would like a share of that wealth. And yeah, he got assassinated, maybe with his own gun. It's his so-called golden gun there. Do I have a problem with him being executed in the streets? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's a revolution. There are approximately 20 to 30,000 other people who died in just as gruesome circumstances, yet you don't hear the media crapping on about those poor guys who died. So once again, the plebs die and no one cares, but, someone kills the dictator and suddenly, oh no, it's a disaster. The fact of the matter is, they were going to kill him sooner or later. Let's be brutally honest. Saddam Hussein executed. And any revolution, even the West, did Charles I think, oh, well, I'm being beheaded, but at least there was a trial. Or, Louis, when he got his head cut off with the guillotine, did he think, oh, well, at least there was some form of trial? I mean, really, when you're talking about a court like that, that's only going to come out with one outcome, and you're going to be executed anyhow, the guys probably did him a favour by wasting him right there, quick bullet to the head, and he didn't have to linger on in jail. Now he gets to go out as some sort of mythical hero, or there'll be a myth about him and about the way he went, then hanging at the end of a hangman's noose. I mean, I don't think there was anything particularly glorifying about the way Saddam Hussein died. And I don't think he gave a toss that he'd had a fair trial. Certainly the last place I'd ever want to go to is like the International Court of Justice in The Hague, because I'd hardly say they're ever impartial. They're definitely politically motivated, and they choose to put whoever they want before the court. There's lots of war criminals out there. Go to Fallujah and ask the women there who are giving birth to mutant babies whether they believe the American presidents are war criminals or not. I think they'll give you a pretty quick answer. But I can guarantee you're never going to see them before the International Court of Justice. So, here's this guy who was a dictator, and the people revolted. They had some support through NATO, bombing the crap out of the Libyan army. And a lot of the Libyan army, Air Force and other armed services realised the writing was on the wall, so they defected to the other side, as often happens in a civil war. And, they pull the guy out of the drain and they plug him. You can understand why. I think I'm a bit sceptical of the only reason some of these political leaders around the world and that are shocked or horrid, or the media, is now it didn't give him a chance to grill the guy about where he'd stashed all his various billions. I'm sure there's a few banksters around the world who are quietly closing accounts or transferring the name from Muhammad Gaddafi to a special reserve fund for the bank or something, because they'll never track down all that money, plain and simple. And I'm sure his daughter and some of those who fled to other countries will still have access to certain Swiss bank accounts, or will be desperately trying to hide money in the form of gold and silver and other things. That's my rant for today on Colonel Gaddafi. If you've got something to say, or if you think there's some conspiracy about the way he died, put it in the comments. And thanks for watching.